What happens when you begin to develop symptoms of fever and fatigue? The flu cycle begins. These symptoms of the flu creep up on you so slowly until you have full-blown fever. As vicious as this flu might be though, you know that eventually you will get better. When the symptoms are at their peak, how much worse could things really get? It's the flu, and you know it will pass. So the doctor gives you the best treatment. In just a matter of days, the flu is gone. Finally, when the fever and sickness are over, you feel relieved, knowing that even though this might not be your last flu, it's not the end of the world. What if I told you that the exact same thing happens with war? Going to war as a country is not an easy decision to make.
American and coalition forces are in the early stages of military operations to disarm Iraq, to free its people, and to defend the world from grave danger.
But when a whole nation is involved and your identity and safety are at stake, society has a cultural shift, and the first symptom of a country at war is noticed: nationalism.
Умные люди с вами. Держите до последнего.
Спасибо.
Globally, we are witnessing a resurgence of the values of national pride and identity. At a social level, nationalism fulfills the essential function of consolidating a group and its identity above and beyond individual needs.
The official results are in. The people of Britain have spoken, voting for a British exit, dubbed Brexit.
Nationalism has too often been painted as a force for exclusion, but it also has been a force for greater freedom and well-being.
New Turkey is self-confident. For a while, we got used to losing, but now we know that we can win again. We can be strong and be a great nation because that's what we were in the past.
The war cycle has just started, and nationalism is one of the best consequences. When symptoms are at their peak, it is time to act. When a nation is going through war, there is no time to waste. Innovations in health and technology are needed, and war creates a conducive environment for this to happen.
One really clear way of understanding the shift in World War I in terms of technology is that soldiers rode in on horses and they left in airplanes.
When countries go to war, only those with the best technology have the edge for victory. Within a short amount of time, the urgency of war accelerates technological advancements which would otherwise have taken decades or centuries to develop.
World War I wasn't just the first industrial war, it was also the first scientific war. It was the first time that societies had taken all of their resources of science and intelligence and said, how do we do this better? How do we develop technologies?
In the 60s, a concept was required for a wide area network to connect computers in science labs. It was the Cold War, though, that would lead to the need for ARPANET and the beginning of the modern-day Internet. Can you imagine your life without the Internet? The innovations which resulted from war are so prevalent and varied that they range from the invention of the microwave to canned food. During World War II, radar technology was developed and later adapted for different uses, such as creating electromagnetic waves on a tiny scale. It is this technology which brought us the microwave. Since 1967, the microwave has now become an essential appliance in every kitchen worldwide. In 1810, the French government offered a large reward to anyone who could come up with a cheap way to preserve large amounts of food. As a result, sealed food containers were born, giving rise to the development of canned food technology. In later years, would make their way from the supermarket straight to your kitchen shelf. What about the impact of war on healthcare? The only female doctor during World War I said, "Medicine benefits more from war than anything else. medicine and war have had a mutually beneficial relationship since the beginning of time. Extraordinary technologies were developed. During World War I, the scientific community realized that sulfur mustard, the most used gas during the chemical wars, led to terrible lesions of the skin, respiratory system, and bone marrow. Two doctors, Louis Goodman and Alfred Gilman, analyzed the medical records of soldiers exposed to gas and realized that the bone marrow no longer produced white blood cells. So they thought, why not use mustard-based drugs to destroy cancer cells such as malignant white blood cells? And this is how the wonder of chemotherapy was born. The trenches of World War I protected the bodies but not the heads and faces of soldiers. Many survived the artillery blows, and modern plastic surgery came out of these circumstances. War allowed Harold Gills, considered to be one of the fathers of plastic surgery, to perform skin transplants directly on thousands of soldiers.
War was looked upon by many doctors not as an enemy. War was a colleague. War was a teacher. War was the doctor of doctors.
Back to the flu. When you finally begin to recover, you feel better but different. This is exactly what happens with war. After it is all over, a whole country has to experience the benefits. Fumika Matsui is an 85-year-old Japanese woman who lived through World War II. She relates her experience of Japan before and after the war.
戦争中は戦争の結果と自分の未来がどうなっていくんか期待し待ち望んでる10代やったんですよ。とってもよく勉強していつも優等生でした。でもね、どうなったと思います？ 1952年のいつの日やったか新しい工場ができるっていう知らせがあってね、トヨタのエンジニアになる機会を得たんです。今では引退したエンジニアですけど、量産売れたトヨタのモデルの設計部隊の一員やったんです。私の孫は戦争後の高度経済成長の恩恵を受けた第3世代の日本人です。すごい勢いの工業化と好景気でした。トヨタ、日産、ソニーとかね、世界で最も信頼されているブランドを築き上げたんですからね。言葉を選ばずに言うと、今の日本があるのは戦争があったからやとも言えると思うんです。
Art reflects and preserves cultural values and beliefs for communities around the world. Artists saw war as a chance to build something new during the Industrial Revolution. World War I drove art to even greater experimentation, and the rejection of traditional styles of art created new styles. Consider one of the most powerful war statements of modern times. This iconic photograph that won the Pulitzer Prize. Or this pop art icon painted during the Vietnam War. In film, without war, we could never have battled the Force. The story of the brave Brian Wallace and his band of Scottish rebels would have never been told. We would never have seen the Avengers go to war against Thanos' army in Wakanda. If you're style conscious, you would appreciate a good pair of sunglasses or a stylish wristwatch. The next time you put on your trendy aviator sunglasses, here's something to think about. Aviators were developed for fighter pilots to protect their eyes from the glare of the sun. Some elements of menswear were adopted by women during the war years. Women began wearing trousers, particularly if they worked in factories. Katharine Hepburn, one of the most well-known actresses in Hollywood, had an unprecedented tendency to wear pants, and through this, she became a fashion icon. But thanks to war, equality didn't only impact the fashion industry. During World War I, men left their jobs and went overseas to fight. In 1915, the recruitment drive for soldiers intensified. This created a new phenomenon which could not be ignored. Factories needed a workforce to make up for all the departing military recruits and the remaining women, who up to this point had been marginalized from trade and profession. On top of occupying their place in the workforce, women gained a credible public identity. They were the strong thread which held society together when men went to war. War highlighted the economic and strategic value of women to the country. So, As you have now seen, war, throughout its duration, brings about all sorts of benefits, before, during, and after. When it is finally over, as a healthy body after a flu cycle, the consequences make you a better person, a better country, a better society. How do you feel about war now? Bless you.